Hello everyone. This is Manideep, and I'm currently the GDSC lead for GDSC NIT Delhi. And here we are today very happy to announce the commencement of Flutter Festivals. So this is a whole event which we are going to continue until March 31st. In this due course, what we are going to do is we're going to host events and workshops and hands-on training on Flutter, Dart, and Google Cloud and Cloud Firestore, which is a cloud database from Google. So we'll be hosting events on all these topics, and we'll train you throughout these lectures. And at the end, if anyone is interested, before March 31st, if anyone can build an app or something based on Flutter, they can definitely let us know. We'll share a link to you where you can submit it. So you will be receiving nice goodies for that. And let's start the session today. Today is the first session. Today will be the basic intro to Flutter and Dart and what the whole Flutter world is. So for that we have Siddharth Batla here today, and he will be guiding you in today's session. And after this session, in the upcoming sessions, we are going to dive in depth and in Cloud Firestore, Dart, Flutter, and Google Cloud Essentials. So don't worry about all those. We'll get into that later. And along with this, as we sent an email to you yesterday evening, in that you will be having 3 links for 3 courses. Those are paid quests on Cloud Skills Boost platform. But until May 1st, during these Flutter festivals, you will get them for free. So once you sign up there, you will get 8 credits where you can use them to solve the quests and problems. It is completely beginner oriented course on Flutter, Dart, and complete Flutter development. So definitely check it out. And this offer you will have until May 1st. So even after March 31st, even if the whole session ends, you'll still have time until May. So go and check out that. So without any delay, let us start today's session. And I would like to invite Siddharth Batla to start his presentation.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Manideep sir.
Yeah.
Hello everyone, am I audible? Hello.
Yeah, Siddharth, you're audible.
Okay, okay. I'll present the slide. Just a minute. One second. Okay, so are the slides visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm Siddharth Bhatla from NIT Delhi CSE branch. Welcome to the first event in the Flutter Festival series. Uh, in this event, we'll be going over the basics of Flutter and the mentality of app development in general. Why do we need apps? Why should we choose Flutter over other web frameworks, app development frameworks, sorry. So, okay. Introduction to Flutter. So first of all, app development. Can I get a show of hands? Who all are familiar with app development in general here? Just I'd like to know the audience a little bit. Okay, okay, okay. So not many people are familiar with app development. Okay, no problem. Okay, right. So in app development, there are basically 3 ways to get into app development generally. Native apps development, you can only make apps for Android or only make apps for iOS devices. So that is native app development. You can use app development frameworks like Flutter and React Native. Okay, so Flutter, which we're going to learn more about in this presentation, and React Native, which is another app development framework. Also, there are progressive web apps. So this is basically the future of applications. It does not require, it isn't required to be installed onto your PC. You can just use it from the web, but it's different from a website because it can use your hardware better. So this uses quite a lot of advanced technology like WebAssembly language, etc. Okay, so why are apps different from websites? Uh, why do we use apps instead of websites? Does anybody want to answer that? Uh, uh, okay, Rishikesh sir, would you like to say something? Okay, no. Okay, so okay, I'll tell you. So why are apps different from websites? That's because apps can be used offline, and most importantly, apps can send push notifications, which result in greater engagement with the customer. So imagine you own an e-commerce website, and you sell, yeah, apps are more easily accessible to a user than website. Kishan, okay, okay, yeah, nice answer. Uh, okay, let's just go with an example of an e-commerce website. Okay, so basically, you own an e-commerce website. Let's say you sell pillows. So wouldn't it be great for your for your business if you could send notifications to your customers reminding them that they can buy from you, etc. So that's really great for business, and that's what apps allow you to do. That's why apps are like very important to a business more than a website. Okay, so going in depth with the methods of app development. So first, native app development. In Android, we can use Java or Kotlin for native app development, and in iOS, we can use Swift or Objective-C. So if you choose Java or Kotlin, you can only develop apps for Android devices. And if you choose iOS development, you can use Swift or Objective-C to only make apps for iOS devices. Next, app frameworks. We'll discuss this a bit later on. And PWS, as I said, they're a bit advanced, so we'll not be covering them. Okay. So Flutter. Uh, why should you use Flutter? We'll just discuss a few pros and cons right now. So pros. Flutter actually allows you to write a single code on a single code base. You can write apps for all the devices. That means iOS, Android, and any other devices. Even for desktop applications, if you write one code base of Flutter, it will run on desktop as well. Hot reload. We'll just discuss hot reload in next slides, and it's easy to get started. Now, the cons of Flutter are that it's low performance. So, because native applications are optimized for the specific hardware of the device, like iOS software is, if you develop iOS software natively, it will run better on iOS than Flutter. Flutter might not run as fast. Flutter might use more memory and more CPU than native apps. So native apps are a bit more optimized. You need to learn Dart for Flutter. So why is this a con, basically? Can anyone tell me? Okay, nobody. Okay, so why Dart is a con is it's because Dart does not have a lot of other uses. So if you learn, for example, React Native, you'll have to learn JavaScript, which has a lot of other uses in web development. You can use JavaScript for Unity scripting as well. So JavaScript has a lot of applications, but Dart is a bit limited. That's why it is a con. Uh, Now, Flutter is also relatively new. It was released in 2017, so that's why it's not as established as native app development or other frameworks. Well, React was also released quite recently, but so that's a con of Flutter. Okay, that it's relatively new. In the technology world, many fads come and go, so it's important to pick frameworks that last long. You wouldn't want to learn a framework that is used for a few years and then is replaced by something else, right? So that's why it's important to choose frameworks carefully. Okay, moving on. Now we'll discuss the pros of Flutter in a bit more detail. Okay. Okay, as I said, Flutter is cloud cross-platform, one app for multiple devices. As you can see, Flutter apps can run on mobile, Android app, uh, Apple App Store. It can also run on web browsers. It can also run as a desktop app on multiple systems. Moving on. Okay, so this is the hot reload that I was talking about. So take a look at this infographic. See that, yeah, look here. So the user changes the code from tapped, as you can see here, tapped to clicked, and then saves the file. But the state of the variable has not changed. So uh, this is another feature of Flutter. Do you guys know what state is? Any chance? Anybody here knows what state is? State management in web frameworks, etc. Okay, Gorish, you don't know what state is. Okay, no problem. So, okay, so look here. Uh, you can see here, right, that the user is clicking the button here and the variable is being updated, right? So he clicks the button and the variable is increased to 2, right? So the variable is a state. It's in a state of 2 right now, right? And when he makes the change in the Flutter app, he changes the tabbed to clicked and then he resaves the file. It is still 2. So the state of the variable has not changed even though you have recompiled or resaved the file. You can imagine how productive that will be for development, right? So there are minimal changes in the state, but you can instantly see what code you have changed and what output that might result. For example, if you do coding in C++ and C, uh, you have to recompile the entire program. You have to run it from scratch just to see what changes you have made and how they are affecting the program. But in Flutter, as you can see, you can edit on the go and this will be changed right away. The state is not even affected. So that is highly productive. Do you understand now what state and hot reload is, Gorish? Okay. Okay. Right. Great. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. So if you guys have any doubt, you can just write in the chat box. I'm viewing it as I'm presenting. So feel free to write any doubts. All right. Okay. One another pro of Flutter is that I didn't mention is that everything is open source. So one of the benefits of open source community is that you find a lot of good tutorials, people contribute to it, and an active open source community contributes a lot to the health of a framework, general health of a framework. So that's a really great plus point for Flutter. Okay, so what exactly is Flutter? I have told you a lot pros and cons and why you should use it, but what exactly is Flutter? So Flutter is an open source UI framework created by Google. It is used to develop cross-platform applications for Android, iOS, macOS, Windows, these so many operating systems, and the web from a single code base. So you don't have to rewrite any code. Coming back to that e-commerce example, if you own an e-commerce website, then one scenario, if you use native apps, you'll have to hire an Android app developer and a iOS app developer separately to make two different apps for two different devices. But with Flutter, you can just hire a single developer and he can create a cross-platform app, which will save you a lot of money. So you see how this is useful, right? So to develop with Flutter, you need a programming language called Dart. The language was created by Google in October 2011. Uh, So as I mentioned, Flutter uses the programming language called Dart. So as you'll later see with some Dart examples, Dart is syntactically very similar to C and C++, which you use these days, right? Uh, I hope all of you are familiar with C and C++, right? The syntax, etc. I think a lot of people will be familiar with C and C++. You can write in the chat, yes or no. Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, great. So Dart is very similar to C and C-like languages. Moving on. So yeah, so I here said Flutter is an open source UI framework. But what is a framework? I don't want you all to just do Flutter without understanding what a framework really is. Can anyone tell me what a framework is in the chat? Any random guesses, anything? What is a framework? That's the question. Anything? You want to go to Google, search what is a framework, you can copy paste from there, please. No? Okay. Kind of template. Set of predefined commands or statements. A type of library or something. Arjit. Okay. Okay, Arjit. So library is quite similar to a framework, and that's library and framework are two very similar terms. You might have heard of React, right? So React, actually people say React is a web dev framework, React is actually a library. So many people get confused in that. Okay, so moving on. What is a framework? Okay, good answers. Okay, what exactly is a framework? As a programmer, you don't need to start from scratch when you have tools designed to help with your project. Frameworks are software that are developed and used by developers to speed up the process of building applications. So one answer that was really nice was framework is kind of like a skeleton or a structure. So yeah, right. Framework is a structure that you can build software upon. It is like a foundation, so you don't have to start from scratch. For example, like a skeleton for your project. Somebody raised hands. Does somebody have a question? Uh, does somebody have a question? Saw raised hand here. Okay, no problem. Okay, so you guys understand what a framework is, right? It is like a skeleton or a structure that you can build your project around. You don't have to do everything from scratch. Like creating buttons from scratch, creating this, that from scratch. You can do those things using a framework. Framework will have predefined components for you to use. Okay, moving on, getting started with Flutter. So, okay, before I go through this, I'll want to ask you how many of you are using iOS devices here? Uh, can you raise your hands? iOS phones specifically. Okay, one. Anybody else using iOS? RN. Okay, two. Okay, so okay. So in iOS, the procedure for enabling the debugging mode for your mobile device will be a bit different because I don't own a iOS device, so I can't really tell what to do. You'll have to look around Google for that. But even if you don't manage to be able to run your app on an iOS device, you can always use the emulator on your PC. Okay. So, okay, you can quit raising your hands. Okay, so moving on. So first of all, download Android Studio, Git, and Flutter. Okay. Uh, Android Studio isn't really necessary, but it is my personal preference because Android Studio makes it a bit more easier to develop Flutter. Instead of Android Studio, you can also use VS Code, but I don't know how you will use the emulator. the PC emulator with VS Code because I've not personally used it. Okay, so download Android Studio, Git, and Flutter. Git, I think everybody might have on their PCs already. You are CSE students, so and Flutter. So you go to the flutter.dev website and there'll be an option download Flutter. Okay, so you can just go there and download that. On the same website, you can go to the getting started documentation and clone the Flutter Git repository. So there'll be a command there. Aryan, do you have any question? No? Okay. So, okay. How to clone? Okay. So, Amya, how to clone? Do you guys know about Git? What Git is? GitHub, Git. You can write in the chat. Yes, Git. Okay. So, no. Okay. Ahan. Okay. Yes. No. All right. No problem. No problem. So, Git is all right, no problem. Git is very simple. You just have to install Git on your PC. You can go to the website for that. Installing Git is very simple. You'll figure it out with a few Googling tips. And cloning Git. So Git is basically a place to store your code. And when I say clone the Flutter Git repository, a repository is basically a place for where the developers over at Flutter are storing their code. So Git is a very huge part of open source software development. As I said, as I said, Flutter is open source, right? So all of the code for Flutter is over at a Git repository, and anyone can contribute to the code. Anyone can take from the code. Uh, there are a few restrictions. You can't sell the code or something like that. So there's a license for that, open source license, but mostly everything is free. So that's what open source means. So when I say clone the Flutter Git repository, I mean take the code from the Flutter repository being the place where the Flutter developers have stored the code. All right. So the procedure for cloning the Flutter Git repository will be simply in the Flutter documentation, where you will download Flutter. Then you can click getting started, and you can go and there'll be a command there. You just have to copy paste the command in your terminal and you'll be done. So copy paste the command into your terminal, press enter, and it will clone the repository for you. Now, third point, add Flutter to your path and run Flutter Doctor. So this is basically, I've picked this from the documentation itself. Flutter is quite well documented. So you will find this on the documentation as well. Uh, do you guys know about path? Capital PATH. Uh, how many of you don't know what path is? Can you write in the chat? I hope you know what path is, right? Soumya, you okay? Anybody else who doesn't know what path is? No. Okay, no problem. No, no. Okay, no problem, man. Path. So path is basically, is it the location? No, don't worry, Soumya. I'll tell you what path is exactly. So when you run apps on the terminal, right? You know what terminal is, right? That black screen that hackers use in movies. Okay, so that is the terminal. Just kidding. The terminal, when you run apps in the terminal, you write something, you write a command. For example, you write run Python or Python 3 dot hello.py. So that will execute the hello.py file. So Python 3, that is an executable. So the terminal needs to know where the executable is to be found. So path is basically a directory, a file location that you have to edit into the system variable so that the terminal knows that, okay, here I will find the Python file. Here I will find the Flutter file. If the terminal tells me, if the user tells the terminal run Flutter, so terminal should know where the flutter.exe is. That is what path is. Okay. So path is basically path to that directory. Uh, if you Google how to edit path, add into system variables, you can find how to easily edit path. I will not be covering that, but I hope you understand what path is. Uh, you can tell me in the chat. Do you guys understand? Hello? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm glad you understand. All right. So add Flutter to your path, edit the system variables, and add Flutter to your path so the terminal knows where the flutter.exe file is, and so that it can run it. All right. So next, the fourth step. So the fourth step is basically I'm telling this for Android users because I don't own an iOS device, so I don't know how to do this on iOS. But in app development, you mostly when you create an app, you'll have to test it, right? How it runs, how it functions. You'll have to test it after adding every new piece of code. And running an app on the PC emulator is not really ideal in most situations, because if you don't get the true feel for your app, you will never know how it feels on the device. Okay, so it is always recommended that you run any app which you are developing on your smartphone. I hope everyone owns smartphones, right? Anybody here who has a Nokia button wala phone? I mean, there could be. No offense. I hope everyone here has smartphones, right? Yeah, you can write yes or no in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Okay, great. So, yeah. So I hope everyone owns smartphone. And if you develop any apps, it is ideal that you run them on your smartphone to get the true feeling of what it feels like on a phone. So for that, you'll have to enable the developer mode on your Android device. So how you do that is you go into settings. Wait a second. Yeah, so you'll have to go into settings and search for developer mode, and you'll get there easily. If you have any problems, you can just Google how to set up developer mode on your device, and you can easily do it from Google. All right. So yeah, this is the fourth and final step of setting up Flutter. Now we'll look at some code next. 1 second. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. Before that, let me just tell you a little about the mentality of Flutter development. So everything in Flutter is a widget. Okay. Widget. Uh, you guys know what widget is, right? It's that. Uh, Okay, so everything in Flutter is a widget. Even the button is a widget, the text field is a widget. If your app has, I don't know, an image, that's also a widget. Uh, in the code that we're going to see later, the app itself in Flutter is an extension of the stateless widget class. So the app itself is a widget. So everything is in Flutter is a widget. Just like in Python, a lot of things are objects. So you can think similar to that. In Flutter, everything is a widget. So building an app in Flutter is like building a Lego set piece by piece. You can use different widgets in combination to build your app. Okay, moving on. Yeah, so that's a really nice little infographic that you can see. Cart. So just observe this infographic for a minute or two, then I'll explain what it is. Okay, I'll just I'll just let it run again. All right, so we'll just look at what's happening. Okay, so my app is the app. All right, my login screen is a screen. That's a widget. The app itself is a widget. Login screen is a child. That's a widget. We're going to my catalog. That's a widget. The my catalog has children of it. That's the app bar, which let's see, yeah, that the app bar, that's the catalog, that's a widget. There are many list items. You can see light blue to dark blue. Those are all the list items. Those are all widgets of the my catalog. Those are children of the my catalog. And as you can see on the top right, there is the cart. So cart, in this case, in this scenario, is a variable. And when we add a thing, an item, a list item to cart, its state gets updated. You remember state, right? I just explained it a few slides ago. So the state of the cart variable gets updated. So, and that state is preserved when we go to the next page. That is the my cart. Then we click buy, and then it returns. But okay, it should go to the checkout. So you understand how this works, right? So everything here is a widget, and this is how the mentality of Flutter app development works. Okay, moving on. Now we'll be looking at some Dart code, how to write an actual Dart, how to write an actual Flutter app. So this is the code that I taken directly from the Flutter documentation. If you go there, you'll find it quite easily. Flutter.dev, I think, is the domain name, and you can go to a documentation. This is the first code that they give you. All right. So this is the code. Take a look. We'll be dissecting it line by line. Okay. Just take a look. All right. Moving on. So that's the code, and this is the output. This is the app that is created using that code. All right. So in this app, there's a few things that we can already observe. On the top, there is a app banner, or we can say title, right? Welcome to Flutter. There is in the center, there is a text box which says hello world. So that's basically the app. Very simple. All right. And now let's dissect it line by line. Okay. So import package, Flutter material Dart. So we're basically importing the material widget library. This is very basic library. We'll have to import it like all the time, because this is where the mostly the main things are. Syntactically, you'll see that it's similar to Python right now, but later I'll show you how it's similar to C as well. Import this, that's trademark of Python. But as you can see, in the end, there's a semicolon. So it's similar to C as well. Moving on. Yeah, so I think you'll find this function very, very familiar. So you all know what void main is, right? I think you'll find this very familiar. Void main, run app. Forget the run app. You all know what void main is, right? You can write in the chat. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. Void main. That's good. So see, it's yeah. Great. I wish it's a function. Uh, Great. So void main, you'll be familiar with C, C++, void main. It's there all the time, right? So just like C, this is the very first function which do not return anything. Yeah. So this doesn't return. Yeah. Great. So void main, like C and C++, here void main is also the function that gets executed uh, the first out of all the functions. Okay, so the main function by itself is a Dart entry point of an application. What makes the Flutter application take the scene is the run app. So we are calling the run app function, and we are passing in a constant my app. Okay, so if I go back, I can show you where we have written this code. One second. So here next after the runner function, we had defined a class called myapp as well, right? So we are calling that an instance of that class in the runup function. Okay, so in the runup function, myapp will be the root of the application itself. So moving on to the final bit of code. Uh, this is the class myapp. Oh, you might remember we have passed myapp as the argument to the runup function. So we are defining the myapp right here. So class myapp extends stateless widget. So uh, we are taking from the state. So myapp is basically a stateless widget. What is state? I defined it just a few slides ago, right? So stateless widget means it won't be it doesn't have a state for now. As you can see previously, it just displays hello world, right? So it's not changing its state or anything. So we are making it a stateless widget. Yeah, great. So okay, so const myapp key. This is not very useful for you guys as beginners, but I'll just tell you what it is. It's basically we are creating an optional named parameter named key. So on the left, the key is colored differently, right? Purple. So that's a data data type key here. So we are creating a variable key, which is with the small k. At the rate override we are using because we want to override the main functions of the stateless widget. Yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so moving on in the widget build context. So we are basically just creating a widget here, and we are running return material app. So in this function, we are returning a widget here. So return material app is the widget that we are returning. That will be the root widget of our entire app. All right. So title, as you saw in the output, we have defined the title here. Welcome to Flutter. Uh, home scaffold is basically the entire region, that white region that you saw. Uh, I don't think I can use a pen to explain it, but the white region that you saw there, that was the title. All right. So that was the scaffold. Sorry. So scaffold. Uh, App bar. So the blue thing was the app bar. App bar had the title Welcome to Flutter as well. The body, in the body we have another variable constant center. So in the body, the text box is centered, right? Hello world. So centered, and then we have a child for center, which is the text hello world. So that is basically the code for. So as you can see, there are so many child elements. Let's just say home is a widget. So home has a child element of app bar. App bar has a child element, child widget, sorry, child widget of title, and so on. So as you can see, these widgets are in relation to each other. So that is basically the code that will give you the output or like this. All right. So that was basically it for today's presentation, today's event in the Flutter Festival series. I hope you are. What is child element? Child element, child widget basically. Okay, let's just go back to that previous infographic. You see here, right? So my app has a child widget with three child widgets: my login screen, my catalog, my cart, right? Right. So now, as you can see in my catalog, once again, it's not, yeah. So in my catalog, there are child widgets, my app bar, my list item 1, list item 2, list item 3. There's so many list items. So these are the children of this widget. So as you can see, these widgets are in relation to each other. These are the children. My list item are the children widgets to my catalog. My catalog is the child widget for my app, and so on and so forth. I hope you understand, right? Uh, okay. So I hope you understood all of this. If not, then it's all right. You can go to the documentation. Documentation is really well written, so you can check it out. 1 second. Okay, so we can also see this. In this code, we are creating a stateless widget called my app, right? So this is stateless widget. It's called my app. We are using the material app library and many widgets within this library, like scaffold, app bar, etc., to create the app. So we are creating the material app library. So return material app. And if we go back, I can show you. See, we imported this material.dat, right? So we imported the library here and we are using it here. So to create the app, this makes the app itself a widget. Okay. So that was it for today. I hope you guys learned something. Uh, and thank you for attending the very first event in the Flutter Festival series. I hope you'll attend the other events as well. I've been Siddharth, and thank you very much for attending.
Yeah, thank you, Siddharth. Thank you so much. So, guys, this is a very basic intro event to the upcoming events. So, I will be quickly showing the courses that we are going to provide you for free, so that after looking into the course, you guys can message us or tell to anyone among the GDSC representatives what kind of events are you expecting. Okay, it's that we can do any events we want, but at the same time, I think it's good if we create events that you would interested. So I'll show the course first, then we'll discuss the next. Okay, so I'll quickly present my screen once. I hope the screen is visible. Is any Gmail kind of thing looking? Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir, the screen is visible.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So what we shall do is, just give me a second. Okay, it is. Okay, there are three courses. One is Flutter Essentials, one is Dart Essentials, and the third is Flutter Development. So in this Dart Essentials, if you go and sign in or join if you haven't signed in, so just register with Gmail account. So if you see, there will be you will be getting 8 credits on your sign up. Okay, so each credit will be used to complete one lab. If you click on a lab, it will give you some time. At the same time, it will help you. I mean, it will let you use the lab in VS Code online, and it will also guide you how to clone the repository and all. So these are like completely beginners. Like if you see, introduction to Dart, you see they start from the basic hello world program, and they say what are variables. You see here integers, double, and you will have everything related to the Dart here. For a complete beginner oriented course, you will have 4 quests in this. And similarly, if you go for Flutter, um, then you will have 4 quests in this, 4 to 5 quests. I haven't started it yet from my side. And next, Flutter development. So these 3 courses are like complete beginner oriented, and they will be helpful a lot to you. So on starting, these courses will be free, so you can access them anytime and start learning on your own. Or if you have your own resource, if you're following from any other website, it's completely up to you. Okay, so I would suggest like trying the code on your own. We'll teach you if you want us to host a session on the Dart programming language, or if you want us to host a session on Flutter syntax and all. So we can do that for you. But when it comes to development, self-learning is really important. And once you figure out how you are able to learn, then you can be a good developer in the future. So what we are planning is we will give you the courses, and if you are able to go through them and learn, then we can host sessions on experts like they on career guidance in Flutter, or we will have another session on if possible, we'll ask the host to make an app, like a small size app, to show it in live. So it will be like live coding. And the next session we'll be having about Firebase. It is a cloud database from Google. So I think you got my point, I guess, right? So try to look into the courses, and at the same time, we shall provide you some other resources which are available for free. We'll be sending out some emails soon. So stay tuned for the emails. And if you have any other doubts, you can ask in the message window, chat window, and we will be able to clarify them for you. Thank you for this amazing. You're welcome, Soumya. You're welcome. And let us know more about what interests you guys have. And if you get any idea or something, or if you want us to host any kind of session, you can always text me. This is my phone number, and or you can be putting my phone number here. My name is Manadev, and you can also, but don't spam the GDSC email. Okay, we'll be using it for just event purposes. So you can text me personally if you want any kind of event. Do we have to complete all the labs in 1 month time that you mentioned in the? No, Himanshu, it's up to you. These labs are completely beginner oriented, and if you are really interested in completing the labs, you can. Or if you are interested in some crash courses, you can go for them too. This is just a supplement that we are giving, but it is not necessary that you have to complete them in 1 month. Okay, once it's like the credits you have will be these credits that you have, they will be helping you to start this lab. This lab will take 1 credit. Some labs will take 2 credits and all. On signing up, you will get 8 credits, so you can use them wisely. Okay, but there is no compulsory that you have to complete them. Much time would it take to completely learn Flutter? It depends. Priyanshu, it depends on what kind of resource you're using, and at the same time for what purpose you're learning the Flutter. If you are trying to build a full scale app by connecting it to whole database and also the security and everything, then it will take like 4 to 5 months. Not only Flutter, any course will take 4 to 5 months on an average. Or if you want to just learn the UI and the material components that you have seen today, they will be useful for getting into front-end engineer roles. And this database and the security and everything, they will help you in getting into the back-end engineering. So depending on for what purpose you are learning, the time depends. If you want to learn the whole Flutter as a whole, like complete front and back, it will take 4 to 5. And if you want to learn only front, it will take roughly 1 month if you are good at coding, because if once you know one programming language, it is easy to get onto the other. So Dart is a C or C++ look alike, but it is completely based on JavaScript. So it is like a it is derived from JavaScript, but it looks like C and C++. So if you are familiar with any of those languages and their syntax, then you will be learning the Dart very fastly, because all you need to know is where to use what. Okay, so that will be a little time taking, but you will get it under 1 month if it is only front end. So any more questions? Can you repeat the credits thing? How are they useful? Okay, on signing up, they will give you 8 credits. Um, I hope this screen is visible again. So if you see the 1 credit here, for getting into this course, I have to use 1 credit. If once I start this lab, um, your credit won't be used until you click the start lab here. So for using this, it's completely like example based, and they'll teach you, like as I told, from the very basic, starting from hello world. So once you click the start lab, 1 credit will be consumed from your account. So it's like some tokens. You're going to some token to access the lab. That's it. Could we get some live examples next time so that can understand? Yeah, sure, Himanshu, which is what I wanted to ask today. So if you are willing to learn the basics and come so that we'll have some expert sessions who can help us in live coding, or if you want us to take sessions like this, like complete beginner oriented sessions, we have to teach the Dart, we have to teach the Flutter and everything. So we can do that too. So it depends on how you are willing to do. And we shall be definitely hosting live sessions with live examples. Don't worry about it. Um, we'll release the dates soon because in the next 2 weeks, the college is going to reopen. And for the first and second day students, they are going to have end semester exams. I hope so. So which is why we are waiting for the exact dates for us. And after that, we'll definitely announce on what dates we are going to have these sessions. If my course is incomplete before 1st May, will I be able to continue? It won't be like incomplete. You will be given some time to complete the lab. If you see 1 hour, so when you can see 1 hour 1 credit, you will be definitely completing the lab within this 1 hour. So there is nothing like incomplete. If you start a lab, it will be completed. Even if you don't do, it will end after 1 hour. So it is just so that it will help you to learn at a good pace. But 1 hour is very much. Like I tried going through Dart. Each lab, what happened in Dart is it shows 1.5, but when I opened the lab, they gave 2.5 hours. And it's like if you're a little bit um, if you have some knowledge, basic knowledge about programming, like what is a syntax, how to write a code, then you will definitely finish this in 20 to 30 minutes. You don't even need that much time. So there is nothing like incomplete in this. You will be able to complete them. Please arrange intro to Firebase and cloud. Yeah, yeah. I think these coming Friday or Saturday, Friday is like day after tomorrow, or Saturday, we'll be having the session on Firebase. And after that, we'll be hosting session on cloud after mid-semester examinations. Okay, from the next week, 3rd and 4th year students, I think they have mid-semester examinations. After that, we shall be hosting the um, cloud ones. So this Friday or Saturday, we shall confirm the date soon. We'll be having Firebase. And any more questions? Okay, if there are no more questions, then we can end this session. We'll wait for 2 more minutes if anyone is coming up with a question, or else we can end it. Okay, so I think there are no more questions. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. We'll end the session here. And thank you for your time. We are hoping for some good sessions like this in the future too. And we'll come up with more and better sessions. So thank you.